Welcome to the Weekend Warriors Fishing Podcast, presented by 13 Fishing Canada. Make your own luck. We're here to scratch that angling itch and talk everything fishing. Join us as we sit down with special guests from across the industry. Now, here's your hosts, Logan Lewis
and Jesse Cadron.
What is going on? Welcome to episode 116 of the Weekend Warriors Fishing Podcast. We have a great one lined up today. This is part 2 of the spring snow geese episode. So if you haven't listened to part 1 in episode 115, definitely head over there and listen to that one. And then this one will make a lot more sense for you. We don't get into tactics and whatnot as much in this one, but there's some pretty cool information and whatnot that's going to be coming through down the pipe on this one. But before we get into that, I'm joined by my co-host, Jesse Cadron, for the second time in a row, not in a truck.
Yeah. Things are looking up. I'm in Edmonton currently, about to fly out to the west coast of BC for go see an old friend that just recently moved over there and do a little salmon fishing, a little prawn trapping. So I'm looking forward to that. I've never done a west coast trip before, so it's going to be exciting. Yeah, and the weather looks fantastic over there. Just as we're recording this, Saskatchewan and Alberta are getting pounded by snow and rain.
I don't know how much slush, sleet, rain, whatnot that we got in the last 24 hours, and thunder and lightning too. For like, I was seeing it at 11 o'clock last night, and it was still thunder and whatnot going on this morning too.
That's
when
wild.
I was at work. So yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. I did not have this on my bingo card for April. Especially the end of April
23rd.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty crazy. We're recording this intro and outro for this episode a little bit early. As Jesse mentioned, he'll be heading out west, so hopefully we get some cool stuff. I'm interested in the prawn trapping. To see how that goes.
I mean, by what Joe told me, it's pretty basic. Just toss a couple traps out, go troll for salmon for a couple hours, and he says, like, this time of year, the prawns are just nuts. He's like, I guarantee we'll get a full limit of prawns. So I was like, cool.
Oh.
Fly those
So
home.
is that based on weight or what?
I do not know. I would be guessing to. Like I say, I've never
brush up on the regulations.
I've never been. Mind you, I got to buy my sport fishing license yet. I should do that tonight. So
yeah,
to get ready.
That'd be a good idea before you're out on the boat and you go, oh man, I guess what I forgot to do.
Yeah,
and then you're in jail in BC and you can't come do podcasts here anymore.
Especially when the friend I'm going to visit works for the oceans and fisheries there. She'd be the one giving me the ticket.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably a good idea to have that. Make sure
we'll avoid that situation.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, like I said, this is part 2 of the spring snow geese episode. I know it's the Weekend Warriors Fishing Podcast, but this was some pretty interesting stuff to cover. We get into a ton of basically what the future of the resource is, and if you listen to part 1, you probably heard that the resource we're talking about here is the land, and that's something that's pretty important going forward here. Without the land, you really have no resource at all. So we kind of get into that, some of the freelance stuff going on, some foreign ownership, all this stuff, and tons of great information from Tyler. Do you have something to add to that?
Well, I think it's going to be maybe not like eye-opening, but I think it's going to get some wheels turning for a lot of people that live in the prairies, whether you're Manitoba, Saskatchewan, or Alberta, because this is going on all across the West, basically. And whether it's birds or bears or deer, this applies to quite a bit of it. So I think it's going to, open some eyes and get some wheels turning to a lot of our listeners.
Yeah, well, and that's what basically this part 1 and part 2 has been for me, just being I guess leisurely bird hunter, like kind of getting out a couple times throughout the season when things line up. Like so much of this stuff I had no idea about. So this has been pretty interesting. But before we hop into that, as always, want to give a big thanks to the sponsors of the show. We've got 13 Fishing Canada, the presenting sponsor of the show since day one. Huge thanks to them for doing that. You can use the code Weekend Warriors and save yourself 15% off your entire purchase on the Rapala Canada website. I myself just picked up a couple of the minnow shaker jigs, a new tactic I'm going to be trying this year. I think it's something that's become quite popular in the bass scene. I'm not too familiar with the bass scene, but shaking a minnow. Are you aware of what that is, Jesse?
I have no idea what you're talking about. No.
It's a little bit different style jig head as opposed to like the moon eye jigs that are straight up. The eye of that hook comes out the front a little more on this jig.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
I haven't done it, so I could sound like a total idiot right now. But it's just like a very light, like you get as light presentation as you can get in front of the fish, and it's just like literally just like shake, 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 shake. And this, if you watch the underwater view of that soft plastic, it's not an actual minnow, it's soft plastic, and it just fumbles side to side. It kind of looks like a minnow flickering. So I thought, why wouldn't that work in the spring for walleye when they're in shallow, right?
I bet you that'll be deadly for him. Yeah.
Yeah, so I picked up some of those, but this episode's going to be coming out May 1st, so open water season is getting going down here on the 5th, I guess, for most of the province in that southern zone. And then what are the dates for the other ones? So, you know?
May 15th for central and the 25th for the northern.
Okay, yeah, so things are coming down the pipe here. We'll see if there's even open water. That's one thing I'm kind of wondering about here. Things are changing. I've been checking the NASA Worldview. If you want to look at satellite imaging, you can search that up. I see some things opening up. It looked like Deef opened up quite a bit from like Riverhurst down in the last couple of days since we're recording on the 23rd here. But things are changing quickly, and with this weather, like it was plus 23 2 days ago, and now we get all this snow and hail and whatever else. So.
Who knows what's gonna happen? It's gonna be wild, but
all pretty crazy. And then hopping into our next sponsor here is the Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation. They actually just got their dock set up at Buffalo Pound at the Causeway for the walleye spawn camp, which will stock walleye all across the province. Some of them do go back into Buffalo. I think something like 10%. I could be wrong on that, but it's definitely a lot higher success rate, I think, than the natural way, right? So it's pretty sweet that they do that. And they also have the fish cultivation station for our trout, which Jesse was very happily taking advantage of over this April month here. I guess not taking advantage, but using the resource. So
for sure.
Yeah, tons of great stuff there. So get your membership, support the cause, and even if you're just a fan of all the stocking that goes around the province, that's a huge thing that the Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation does. So big props to them.
And if you plan on heading out in the Bearwoods this spring, make sure you get that membership, because you could shoot an 18-inch bear skull makes the book. So you want to make sure you're a member before that happens.
Yeah, for sure. Get yourself in the book. Jesse's a fan of the book. Came all the way to Moose Jaw for the book.
I did.
Yeah. There you go. Next up, Laclamart Adventures. Big thanks to them for coming on this year. You can head over to their website, inquire about dates. I think what's the least amount of days? A 3-day package?
Yes, yeah. I don't know. Generally, our 3 days are like mid-season, end of July, start of August. I don't know where our 3-day seasons are, but 6 days is the average, and that's what I recommend. Yeah. You're traveling all that way. You don't want one bad weather day, one bad storm, and you lose 2 days of fishing. And it always seems to line up on a 3-day trip. Like, if there's a 3-day group at camp, guaranteed it's going to storm. Like, it's just
going to be a chowder day.
It's just how it is. Yeah. So book a 6-day.
Yeah, no, it's going to be the trip of a lifetime. It's such an awesome place. So definitely check that out. Find out some dates. One thing I recommend making it worthwhile, as far if it's like a milestone birthday, something like that. I don't know, even like a parent's anniversary or something like that. Like the wives have fun up there as well, if you're wondering about that. And usually outfish the husbands too. So that's something there. That's what happens in my boat, at least when I was up there.
But yes.
Yeah. No, but big thanks to Laclamart Adventures for sponsoring this year. And like I said, if you're interested, inquire about some dates and get yourself up there. Lastly, Anglers Edge Mapping. Big thanks to them. That was another reason I was checking out the NASA Worldview, kind of seeing what lakes are opening up, see what maps are available. You can head over to their website. You can get some of the prints like the ones behind me if you're watching the video version of the show. And then currently you can still buy whatever maps are available on the Avenza Maps app. And they are working on a solution as far as going into the future and uploading their newer maps, because they should have some releasing here in May or June as well. So some exciting stuff coming down the pipe from them. Kind of all we got here for sponsors. We kept this intro a little bit shorter, I think. We've been talking for a bit before we actually started the intro, so hopefully we kept that one a little bit shorter. But we don't really got anything else to say here in the intro. I hope you enjoy part 2 here with Tyler It was a ton of fun and definitely something we'll have to have on again to maybe learn about, as he says, the dumb birds, the dark geese, and the ducks, because I could really use that. But yeah,
for sure.
That's all we got here in the intro. Hopefully you enjoy part 2, and we'll see you in the outro. Going into this part 2 here, let's dive into, this is kind of a hot topic, but also maybe build the base up before we get into some of those hot button issues, if that makes sense. Like you were talking about some of the pressures, getting on dirt, as you said. Maybe let's dive into that a little bit more and see what tangent that takes us on.
Yeah, so like the basis here of like, I could open up here. I'm part of a committee here trying to work on sustainability in Saskatchewan, trying to get the local hunter, the freelance hunter, and the outfitted hunter kind of on a sustainability practice, trying to get the focus on long-term, not short-term, because our resource has been here and underutilized for a long time. And then recently it's got overutilized rapidly. Like it's the shocking value of this bird and this resource. And the resource itself is land access. So unlike fishing and big game with all the crown land and water, obviously that's government owned, our land is all private. You have to build landowner relationships. And in our window of time here in 17 years, our pressure has went in our area from, again, this is rough numbers that you can kind of sort of put on a napkin, but it works out. So in our area, within about 75 miles of our facility, about 10 years ago, there was 400 hunts on the landscape. So 400 hunts between outfitters and freelancers and locals, 400. And in that same hour and a half circle now, it's 4,900.
Wow.
Jeez.
So in 7-8 years, it's 11 times multiplier. So
yeah, that's a little more pressure. Holy crap.
This is the problem. And I'm certain if you average it out across the province, I would be shocked if it wasn't in that same multiplier. Like it's just got so, there's huge upsides to the business side of it, the freelance side of it. The reason we're seeing so many foreign hunters come across the border is because it's not good in the States or marginal. If it was equal or close to as good, they wouldn't drive 12, 15, 17 hours to come to Saskatchewan.
Right.
And our laws forever made it the Wild West.
Like
So
anyone
in
could
saying
come
that,
up
like-
and just come kill birds,
Yeah.
basically.
As long as you want, 70 days. On the freelance side, on the outfitter side, get as big as you want, run 300, 400 guys, buy multiple camps. And the spirit of these camps that were originally sold was, again, mom and pop operations in the 80s. Farmers bought these licenses. They never thought there'd be a commercial value to them. And they ran 10, 15, 20 clients, friends, buddies that came up, and they got small. And as they sold, other members of the community came in, including myself, young guy. Started off, I was 21 when we bought this. And I started off small little business, and we grew, again, multiple locations. But we had the wherewithal to be like, wait a second, we better buy or have access to or tie up or have other friends of ours locate or take over or work with other outfitters that have the same allocations. Because we're putting pressure on our landscape. And if we don't protect what we have, there's not going to be anything here to hunt. So we began working through different channels to allow access or at least make sure other licenses weren't available. And by doing that, we protected our resource around home. But in other areas, the way the business model is written to make the most money on capitalism is to run one license, run as many guys as you can through it, and take everything you can off the landscape. It gets, to me, it's like the forestry side. If you allowed people to cut down as many trees as they wanted, eventually there'd be a big player that would show up and be like, wait a second, as many as I wanted? Yeah, it doesn't matter. And then it just runs wild. And we've also had this huge push through social media and other avenues. There's a low barrier to entry to the industry. Like it costs you whatever it costs to get an allocated an allocated license. And from there, you could start an outfitting business. And there was no real jump in or jump out. And what guys were doing then is so many licenses sold so rapidly, regardless of the size. So a lot of heat gets put on the bigger outfitters. 8 guys at 100 is the same as 2 guys at 400. It doesn't matter, as long as there's just been such an influx of pressure coming in. And now we have a large conglomerate of what we have in the industry now is foreign owned when it comes to medium to major players. And for them, they're horizontally integrated. So they have multiple camps. So we have foreign ownership that has other businesses elsewhere. And it allows for a million workarounds when it comes to taxes and money into the country and jobs. And they bring up foreign staff and they hire all foreign workers.
Yeah.
And they may or may not bring all the money into the province, but if you're a businessman and had, again, some functional, rational thought, you would realize quickly that you probably wouldn't bring all of it into the province. You'd run it under your other subsidiary. You'd run it under your Texas company, your Missouri company. You don't got to pay GST, PST, all this tax. And what are the odds that the CRA and the IRS are going to talk to each other? Pretty slim. It's two international tax conglomerates. Like and you're small enough scale, it doesn't matter. So on the outfitting side, it's been a real sad erosion of an industry that once was based on different principles. Like it was a lot of small Saskatchewan players, local guys, starting up medium-sized businesses. The odd guy got big, but not many of us. And big being like anything bigger than 40 or 50 guys. There was never that. And now I'd say that's the bare minimum. Everyone's sold, and we're seeing an average of whatever it is, like 6 to 10 outfitters a year sold. Doesn't sound like much, but of active outfitters over 10 years, it's 70 guys. That's seven. Like and there's no limit to how big they can get. So I don't know what legislation changes are coming there, but we'll see here in the near future what the government wants to do with that.
A couple things with that. Is there like a quota of how many guiding or outfitting licenses there was, or was that not a thing before?
There was a quota, and the quota, I want to say, was in the 200s or so. You can look it up, I believe, through channels through the websites.
Okay.
But with no limit to how many clients you take, it doesn't matter if you have 1 or 7 million.
True.
Right.
It's irrelevant. I can run 1,900 clients on my license. It's completely irrelevant, right? So
right. And with that, is it when you said allocations, are you talking about certain area allocations or just allocations as far as licenses?
The way it works is they allow you to have an allocation tied to up to 5 zones, and a few of them got grandfathered in with 6, I believe. And you can have 1 zone, you can have all 5 or 6 zones. It's irrelevant, and the allocation itself is tied to those zones. So what people did is they bought these allocations, bought a couple zones. Bob's your uncle. You're now
you're saying like the zones is in the WMZs throughout Saskatchewan.
Same zones you have.
Right.
Yes, sir.
As far as
that's
hunting,
exactly right.
So different than the fishing allocations where it's like you have the chain lakes or you have Last
Exclusive
Mountain.
rights. On average, the medium-sized zones have 10 allocated outfitters in each one.
Wow.
10 unregulated growing outfitters per zone. And in the zones like 45, Jesse, where you're from, 47, there's 25.
Holy
25
man.
allocated outfitters. And the reason was when they opened up all these deer tag programs for guys buying deer, you could just throw that waterfowl allocation on it. So if you're buying a deer camp in 88, you said, sure, I'll take a waterfowl. Sure, I'll take a waterfowl.
Why not?
Sure. So you get the waterfowl allocation, and you get zones 47, whatever those northern zones are, 54.
Yeah.
And there's 27 players or 24 players in 47 alone.
That makes
And
all
there's
that land get small pretty quick. Like that's a lot.
And there's no
of
regulation how big you
competition.
are. So it doesn't matter, right? If it could be one guy, it could be 500. But now 27 guys or 24 guys to get medium to large, good luck. Like, and then on top of that, there's no limit to how many freelancers come in the province.
Right.
And of them, they run illegal operations. They bring, because why wouldn't you? You could just rent a hotel and have 50 friends come up every week. And they show up to your house you bought in some small town or the farmyard you rent it doesn't matter. And how are you going to catch them? So the law states money changing hands. Well, change the money in your hands in the States. So you're not legally being sold anything. You're just a buddy. Like there's so many workarounds for an industry we're 20 years behind regulations, what we are. And we're a laggard in the industry. And we'll be the last province to put any legislation on us. It sounds like there's some heat or some smoke right now with the freelancing change. And hopefully there's some more coming through and stiffer to give the local guy and the local anybody a chance to get into this wonderful resource we have here and not have it tied down and bogged down. Because with pressure, the big negative is farmer relations. So 3 things will happen. 1, farmers will get sick and tired of all the phone calls. And we'll say, no more hunting. That's locals, freelancers, outfitters. And we see it north of us it's not standard, but it's way more common. And then there'll be outfitters that get around the law and pay farmers. And that's a spicy topic in and of itself, but they start to financially move things around. But that ties it up that no local ever get on dirt again, period.
And
that's
then
what
you're
it
like
is
the
in the
States.
States. Yeah, the U.S. hunting culture is to pay to play. And that's totally reasonable. You can get into the ethics of that with farmers. I got local family, they're all farmers too. We've had this discussion before. But as of now, all it does eventually is build up the monopoly, big capital companies. And we just take it out. The local doesn't play. Like, period. He
that
cannot
pinches
get under
out the weekend warrior, like right there.
And we hate to see
and he's
that.
dead.
Yeah.
It's the lifeblood of our industry, especially. And up here, it's, as of right now, the government is, and other folks have not made it a priority for the local hunter to matter, because on that trajectory, we are so foreign owned right now. If you started getting the numbers and broke it down to the number of foreign camps and the number of camps of clients that go through that, like, I don't have the numbers in front of me because I can't probably suggest all things. I don't have hard numbers in front of me, but most people can look it up themselves. Again, use some applied knowledge and some basic understanding of math, and you can look up the numbers. How many hunters came in the province? You can break it down yourself, but you'll see, like, it's a scary representation of foreign ownership and foreign staff, and they're like, even us. We're a big player in the industry, and our footprint is substantial. Like, I will never say that we did not put any pressure on. We put a huge amount of pressure on the landscape. The difference was we made sure to try and tie up every other license we could, so there was still room for someone else. And in the other hunting models, you don't care if there's room. It's you're the big dog. You buy, steal, whatever you got to do. You play the game like you do everywhere else. And there's money in the line. And once there's money in the line, it's game theory. There's only so much money. People want to make as much as they can. And it goes back to the forestry thing. It just take as much as you like.
Yeah. I've got like 4 different trains of thoughts going on in my head right now.
Sure.
The first quick one was, I knew I didn't know a ton about this, but I now know I know nothing. This is insane. I guess, like, when you talk about like the weekend warrior, the regular person getting squeezed out, I think there is some people in the States too that are your weekend warrior, that they do come up here, that might not also know how crazy this is behind the scenes for how all that goes on. So kind of understand where some of them might come from with that, but they don't realize that they're kind of getting overshadowed by a much bigger issue, and they might get caught in that, not caught in the crosshair, like there was those changes to some of the freelance stuff, right? But they might get caught in that same net as well, just because of the bigger problem that's going on, right?
So you cap all the outfitters. You magically fix this problem and bring the outfitters onto a hard cap. Unless you cap the number of freelancers, it just fills the other side of the cup.
Which that shady stuff was going on that side of it, right?
Yeah. So if you cap all of the freelancers and don't cap the outfitters, you fill the same cup up the same way.
Right. Yeah. Spots are going to get
filled. So it doesn't
leave
a lot of moisture in there. So it's going to keep going. So they got to, I hope that the government is listening and hearing some of the complaints and problems that are brought up. And there's a lot of focus on this now to trying to get sustainability is the only focus. That's all I've argued, is just, I want to make sure there's room for the local. There's some room on the landscape for freelancing, and there's room on the landscape for the outfitter.
Yeah.
But as is now, I think we've surpassed that in almost every area in the province. It's amazing how some of the outfitters that say there's no pressure like that in our area are also the ones that have 300 clients. It's like, well, you're the pressure. The reason there's no one there is because you've smashed an area completely. Wait a second. We don't see anybody here. Well, because you've tied up 200,000 acres of land and no one can get on it. Or you have 14 scouters driving around. And there's a lot of politics in waterfowl because, again, with this private land, unlike fishing, it's not available to you. Like, until you build relationships, until you have access to the land, which is the resource, you have nothing. You have birds and fields that you can't get on. You have, like, this is a really fun industry. It's super, super exciting to get into, but it's also the most frustrating and the hardest, because you can't, if Jesse and I want to go fishing tomorrow, we put the boat in the lake and we go fishing.
Yeah.
On waterfowl hunting, you need to make a phone call. You need to get on land. And if areas get ruined, you physically can't get on it. It gets done forever.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And that's with that and people tying things up. You mentioned right at the start of this part 2 here that the resource is the land. And just like in part 1, where maybe we didn't realize that it wasn't necessarily a numbers game, lots of people would think that the resource is the bird. Right.
100%. The government did. The officials I talked to, that's all they thought was it was the bird. And it's irrelevant. If you can't hunt the bird, great. You got billions of them. Who cares?
Yeah.
Can't get on them.
Yeah.
And
which is kind of for all the hunting, right? Like, it's not 100%. Just bird hunting. The resource is the land for all hunting.
And for what I've heard through all the channels and stuff like that of like what the government worries about, it's money. So they believe it's going to be number of hunters exponentially can grow. And I'm like, well, there gets to be a cap where there's not enough room to put the number of hunters you have coming up on the landscape. Like this.
You can't hide
Again,
30, 40 guys at a time.
No, not great. No, but it's also a lack of awareness when it comes to like big game hunting is a much simpler variable. It's one person shoots one deer. Okay. Jesse can hunt whatever it is this year, 100 and I think we have a 105-day season. He can hunt twice a day. He can hunt 208 fields in a season himself. One guy can kill 208 fields. Morning and night, 118. If you want it, like it's obviously not going to happen, Jesse, but that's one guy.
Yeah.
So how do you account for Jesse hunts with 8 people? They still put the same pressure on at 218 hunts. But if those 8 guys separate, it's 1,600 fields they had to shoot if they hunted every day. That's just, again, these are just basic numbers that add up.
Yeah.
Right? That's 8. Obviously, some guys stay for 3 days. And outfitters run for 3 weeks. Some run for 70 days. And there was a chance that we had freelancers in our areas that came for 60 days and hunted in groups of 1 or 2 once a day. Well, they take 70 hunts off the landscape themselves, period. That's just like 2 guys. So
one group of guys, yeah.
One group. And again, does it the same for everybody? No, but the problem is this blanket, how do you get legislation involved? And this is where it gets really tricky is the government's put in a spot, and so are we, to kind of look at what's sustainable and why, and then trying to tie up all these loose ends where guys are able to come for more than the first thing. Freelancers were 10 days. So now they can come for 10 days. Again, the most hunts you'll get off that is probably 16 hunts. And most people come as parties of, we got to average this out, but probably 4 to 6, probably the average party.
Okay.
So if you divide that number by 4, that's the number of parties. Divide that by, again, now it's going to be 12 to 15 hunts. So many hunts are coming off the landscape. Well, that's great. Outfitters run 6 to 8 guys in a group. You can start to break down the numbers and get the idea of what's out there. But it's not a deer hunt. It's not 1-to-1. Guy shoots deer, guy tags deer. It's just not that. And then it's, where's the threshold? So people think it's the numbers. Well, we're dealing with a real variable when it comes to like hunter pressure and where the farmer gets to his tipping point. Where is the frustration is over? Where is it an arbitrary number being set? And where for us, if a couple bad hunters get into an area and they start cutting ruts in field and leaving messes of trash in fields, it can be destroyed in a weekend. And that's another thing we haven't touched on yet is like etiquette in this sector is imperative. You have to develop a respect for the land and a respect for people because unlike fishing again, you leave a mess at the boat launch, people still fish. You leave a mess in a field, you can smash out 10,000 acres for everybody forever.
100%.
Yeah. And how many guys are also, I know we talked off before recording about just regular your upland and stuff like that too. How many guys are including that in that? Like you can go hunt in the morning, you can go do upland midday, maybe get on an evening shoot, or if you've limited out, now we can go upland too. Like just another pressure on the resource on the land, right?
It is, yeah. On the waterfowl side, we've seen so much growth, and like on the local side, we don't see growth right now. I don't think as a sector, and I believe it's cost obviously, and then where the factor is the fact you just have a hard time getting in front of what you want when it comes to again the scouting and the time, the resource, the knowledge, and the pressure. You get in areas and you see 16 people driving around. You're young, you're getting into it. You're never going to be able to be successful. There's just too many people out there trying to tie up too much land.
Yeah, and money involved. Someone's going to possibly try and scare you off too or whatever, right? And this is my livelihood, this is it. And it's like, well, this is also my local resource. Like, why shouldn't I be able to enjoy it as well, right?
And all the stakeholders have fair arguments. Like, I'm not going to stand on the soapbox and say outfitters are great. I'm not going to be up there saying they're the devil either, because if we move the variables around, it just keeps changing it. The next guy becomes the problem, right? So I just hope our government can really dial back and focus on sustainability and make it so that our province is rewarded the best it can before the resource. The local person has a chance to experience this amazing, amazing thing. We are in the mecca for hunting and fishing in the world. And this is the one chapter that we are getting killed on. Like, it is slowly eroding, and not even slowly anymore. It's rapidly eroding around us.
Yeah.
Like, so I just, it's a bit of doom and gloom, but I would say that's echoed from all parties involved. And like from freelancer side, they want to have it like it was, but it's not sustainable. And for the outfitters, they want it as it is. Well, it's not sustainable either. So
and
I just wish more local kids got into it.
Right. And I guess with that kind of a two-part for this, I think it will kind of wrap up putting it into perspective before we maybe talk about some of the changes that have come through recently.
Sure.
On the foreign, I didn't realize how many, I guess, foreign ownership there, how much foreign ownership there was that you've been talking about. And then kind of with that, does that make it harder to make changes when a great majority is foreign and probably wouldn't want changes to what foreigners can do, right? Like how big is the, I wouldn't even think that there was foreign ownership as far, I just assumed you had to be a resident of the province, but kind of maybe touch on that too.
Yeah, so we don't have data. I don't have it, and other facilities or committees. I mean, I'm not privy to all the information. Like I've done some basic digging around, but the numbers of foreign ownership are substantial. Again, we don't know exact numbers, and I don't want to be spouting off here pretending I have all the correct numbers in front of me. But I can say that it's the large majority of recent purchases. Like I would say, certainly in the 80-90 percentile would not be far off. The recent purchases. As for total harsh numbers, there just isn't enough data here for, like, there's lots of allocations available or that have been out there, I guess. And the information is like, how many of those guys didn't use them? Sometimes we have that data and sometimes we don't. How many of those guys ran 8 clients? Again, great knowledge to have. And maybe it's available too, right? It might be released. So like the number of U.S. ownership is some factor, but it's also like understanding that maybe there is 200 and some allocations, but let's say like 60 to 80 or nobody takes anybody on that allocation.
Right.
And another 50 to 70 take 15 or under. So really, there's only 120 allocations that are of any relevant to this conversation. Like the relevance of the conversation is that component of them, like who takes actual numbers of guys on the landscape. That's really it.
Right.
And when you start breaking that down, it would stand to reason if you start looking online and just looking, if you Google Saskatchewan goose hunting, just pull up the website and look at the phone number on the bottom and go through 90 websites. You tell me what the numbers are. They have 306 at the beginning or 639. It'd be 12 of them, 15 of them maybe.
Maze.
Yeah, no, that is crazy, and I know that's like foreign ownership is a common enough thing on the fishing side of things and fishing lodges, but again, that's a totally different scenario, and right?
The foreign ownership is a factor, and the reason you got to understand how this all goes together too. And this is like the real complex part is like we all buy our gas from a Shell gas station, and we get our groceries from a Walmart, and we eat it at Tim Hortons on the way to the field. Those aren't Canadian-owned, boys. So this is where it gets spicy, right? You got to think about this. But what it comes down to is the biggest variable that I think should be a fair complaint is that like it's all foreign staff.
Right.
Like the bulk of their guides, the
Fair.
bulk of their scouts, the bulk of their workers
They're bringing
all
up.
come from the U.S.
Yeah.
So none of the money comes to the province potentially. None of it stays in the province potentially. Little to none of the income comes in, or the income tax, the revenue from their workers. None of that stays because they don't live here and they don't spend the money locally and they don't leave their tips and they don't, like, it's just, it's a variable that you can easily exploit. Again, saying they do, saying they don't, I don't know. But just apply some logic. Like sit there in your head and go, what would I do if I was from there? The answer is pretty clear, I think. If you were to think even remotely strategically, you would not position yourself in that way. So that's the first part of it. And like the foreign ownership is a big factor. And even us, like we're a big player putting lots of pressure. You should be accountable to the resource if you're becoming one of the problems. Like you should have a plan or a reason or a protectionist attitude, because if you don't think that it could happen to you, we've had camps open right on top of us because there's no legislation how far you can be away. Guys who have little education starting facilities. And what happens is with extra pressure comes guys that get desperate. Guys are doing stupid things. And the politics side of this gets to exponentially just keep growing and growing and growing. And the resource, no matter what, it suffers. Like eventually enough pressure causes a tip over point where people can't possibly get what they want out of this resource.
Right, for sure. And I think that's a thing that waterfowl, like obviously I would think as far as locals go, big game trumps waterfowl for most people as far as what's more popular. I think so. Maybe unless that isn't fair, I don't know. I think lots of people I know, like I obviously love to go hunt birds, but most people, if you said they went hunting, it's probably go hunt a deer, right?
Yeah, like there's way more deer licenses sold than bird licenses. I imagine. Yeah.
And it's because, Jesse, ease of entrance, barrier to entry again for the local. Like if you're a kid shooting a deer, we know how we all started, ethically or not ethically. We shot him out the window of a truck, every Saskatchewanian way. No one wants to admit it, but it's a fact, right? But what it cost you? A rifle. What else? A rifle.
Yeah.
No skill, no scouting. Drive around, see a deer shoot.
Yeah,
which now is slowly changing, I would say. That's what it is, right? And now you've changed to baiting and cameras and a lot of other variables. But on birds, it's always been the same.
Necessary either, right? Like the
you
barrier
don't
to entry is low. You don't even need you don't need a gun. You could go out with your friend that has one.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right? Just have your hunter safety and good to go.
And with birds, I think I hope to someday put in a program for like a learn to hunt and then teach young kids as a career choice. It's wickedly, wickedly fun, and it's incredibly lucrative. Like if you start doing the math on some of these young staff we have that have grown in the industry, what an incredible opportunity to eat a 5-star meal. Like as a kid, I never ever dreamt that young Saskatchewan kids or young Canadians can hunt for a living, and this is the golden goose for effort and to get into it. But if you roll this, like a lot of our staff that are professional guides go from a fish camp and they show up directly the next day onto goose camp, and that's how you run the circuit and make an incredible living. Like it's an amazing thing that I hope is in front of a lot of kids at these career fairs. Like if you're an outdoors kid, get into waterfowl, get into birds, get into fishing, and then realize that you can make 3 times the number of an electrician and love your job, or at least if nothing else, maybe make the same as he does and have no overhead. Like it's amazing, a career opportunity.
But none of that will be available with the foreign ownership. Like we need to get the local guys involved. Give that opportunity to a 16-year-old to be able to work at a bird camp or to drive and scout.
That's it.
Like that
the ownership
needs to
factor
be
for
an
sure,
option.
Jesse. But it just needs to be like staff, like it is at fish camp. Like all those fish camps can be U.S. owned. Again, great, not great. You can argue that
for sure.
But have a GST number, a PST number, a Canadian corporation, and all Canadian staff.
Yep.
Well, that means you got to pay GST, you got to pay PST, you got to pay income tax. All your staff are local and spend their money in the local economy. And like, I'm from here, you're from here, all you guys are here, and it would be an opportunity for you. You make your tips and you make your money and your wage, and we spend it on fishing stuff. And we spend it like we know where the money goes right back into the economy. Instead of watching a resource just get wiped out. And if we're collecting a bunch of money off of this, I'd go, I can sort of see it. I don't think that's the case, and I don't think many do. And leaving that untapped is definitely a concern.
Yeah, ways to work around that. And I didn't realize how much pressure and everything there was, so I can totally understand. I definitely get a lot more no's when it comes to waterfowl hunting than I do looking for big game, and it's obviously different land and stuff too. But if someone's getting that many calls, I don't even know why they pick up the phone if they don't know the number, to be honest.
And they usually don't. Eventually, if you don't have the land ties, and then nowadays, U.S. hunting culture is to sort of exclusively tie up land. Like that's the biggest thing. So then, like, there's local folks I know that go out and get 30 or 40 no's in a weekend. Well, the weekend warrior dies off that, because if your dad didn't hunt geese, the odds of you hunting geese is exponentially lower.
Yeah.
And then if we don't hunt geese, our kids don't hunt geese. And it dies. It fizzles out, so it's a foreknown resource that gets wiped out in front of us. And if you live in the Mecca, the best waterfowl hunting on planet Earth, and the local can't hunt a bird or want to get into it or enjoy any of it, that's a tragedy. Like that's the number one focus of every local person who has understanding of how this works. And when you start getting those no's, ask why, and get to the Wildlife Federation, talk to an MLA, like get in front of somebody and be like, what in the hell is going on? I saw 15 people out in my area today.
Yeah.
None of them had Saskatchewan plates on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, that is the crazy thing. And I guess with that going into some of the changes that have come now, like as far as, I just had the term in my head, like the guides that aren't legit, like
legal outfitters. Yeah, sure.
Yes, so illegal outfitting. That's what just slipped my mind there. Illegal outfitting. It obviously takes different forms, but maybe kind of just give a quick overview of what's being spoken about generally with illegal outfitting. Yeah,
the biggest push was the guys you're bringing up, friends that took financial coverage, right, for it or some capacity. So friends is a loose word. They're clients, and they have the access to a financial base, and they come up and they tie up land consistently. And they're a percentage of the pie that was on the landscape, and we're starting to take advantage of it the rest of the way. They're a player for sure, but again, it's unregulated growth across the whole sector now that is a large factor, and that's freelance, outfit, illegal, and I think locals are literally, they're not even on the radar, which again is super disappointing. That I wish I could say the locals are on their landscape so heavy that we need to make sure to save it for them, but now it's like we need to make sure they have access to it.
Right.
Because what you're running into, how many no's does it take? You're a weekend warrior, your time's of great value. Like I was in that camp for a long time. I'm local. We don't have 22 days to go. We have a weekend. We get off Friday after work and we race out of the city as fast as we can, or the small town or wherever you're working, and try and get on a hunt. And we have access to finding 3 or 4 hunts. If we get 3 or 4 no's, we burn Friday night. So now we got to get up Saturday and go look for birds. If we get 10 no's on Saturday, how many times are we going to burn weekends not getting the thing we want? All we want to do is get in a field and hunt birds and enjoy the experience, get up in the morning and really enjoy the whole thing. And now we're sitting here going, I did nothing. I just burnt gas. I got a bunch of no's. And you're telling me a foreign-owned business with foreign staff get to take all the resources and leave the province? And I don't think the landowners know it either. I don't think the understanding of these gigantic problems are in front of them until their kids get big enough and can't get on a hunt. And you're like, well, what do you mean we can't get on it? No, it's already taken, spoken for.
Right. Yeah. That just explained lots of my weekends when I was doing it a bit more. It's like you rip out after work, and depending on the time of year too, when you're in the fall, days are getting shorter now too. So it's harder to rip out after work. And then you might find one and you're lucky enough maybe that no one's around. And then you finally get, okay, this is maybe that's the only shoot I found for the night that might work out. Like we're not talking your level of scouting, right? Like this might work out, and then now I got to find out, even if it's a numbered company, good luck finding out who it is. But then next I got to find out if it's even someone that is maybe like lots of older names on land too, or older RM maps where they don't have the updated name and whatever. When you do finally find someone, and then it's okay, if you're being a little bit considerate, well, I don't want to call it this time because maybe it's supper time, or waiting around for that. And then you do call, and it's like, oh, I don't want to get going too late either because right. Like there's so many things. And then all that just to be either no, someone else is doing it, or no, someone else ruined it in the past, or no, we don't like hunting. Like there's so many things that go into it. And I don't blame someone for saying no at all, but it's there's a lot that, like I always say, the hardest part of hunting is getting access to the resource. Like that's, to me, that's the hardest part, because that's basically a non-starter if you can't, right? So
and it's on top of access, there's conflict in this industry. So you can talk to the landowner and I'll talk to the land renter. We both show up in the same field, we legally have permission, and now the party starts. And this is where areas, again, with excess pressure, we start to see conflicts now where guys are talking to like 91-year-olds that own it, 91-year-old babas, because they know they can't get on with the renter. So they play the slide game and sneak in the back door of a field, talk to grandma who is in a home, and then they show up in a field. And you're like, there is no local person with any ethics that would ever do this. But this is how the game gets. It's again, game theory. There's only so much. We got to take it. And if we're not from it, we don't care what happens afterwards. And it's just that the politics of this world, from where I started when I was 21 to where I am now, it's sickening and saddening. Like you can see it, and I can see it from a weekend guy. I have a daughter that's 5 years old, and I can say now safely that I would say on the path we're on now, without massive, sweeping, punishing changes, there's no chance she'll ever be a waterfowl hunter. Zero chance.
Yeah, which is crazy and sad.
And we're in the Mecca.
Disappointing.
Can you imagine we couldn't get on? And you guys are fishermen. If you played this game on fishing, public outcry. If you're in the forestry industry, guys shooting you. Guns are coming out. Waterfowl, what happened is our hunting culture for years, Saskatchewan, was knock on a door, talk to a local. Yeah, go ahead, Jesse. Have fun. And people can take advantage of that very quickly when you make the numbers what they are to make off this industry. Yeah. And it's such a simple theory, and it's all it was.
Yeah, and once you get into those confrontations too, like you're talking about the double permission thing there, like if it's two freelance guys, even if it was 2 groups of 2, the odds of them saying, hey, you know what, let's hunt together. Even I know hunting with someone with guns that you don't know is a totally different thing too, but like the odds of someone coming together, the I'd say 99% of the time that it's going to be a confrontation, not a problem being solved in those instances, right? So I think that's something that's different too.
I hope every local that ever hears this podcast, all I ask you to do, if you should, is call your local outfitter and call in a favor. And if I ever retire from this, I can come back on this podcast and tell you the other ways to strong arm him into, hey, here's what's going to happen. Like, this is, the local guy needs to be on land. And if not, there's a bunch of ways to play dirty pool that make it so no one gets on birds. And if you're a local, you're from here, I wouldn't fault you to play the other side of the coin. Mm-hmm. And be like, listen, I'm not getting on dirt. Watch this. No one's going to get on it because a local guy can't win if we don't get big enough and strong enough.
True.
I hope locals can, like, and if I was young, I know many tactics now that can be used to be like, that's enough. Like, you're not from the area. You're not from the country. I want to get on a hunt in my backyard. And once you strong arm and affect people in their pocketbooks, magically change comes rapidly. Like, people feel that pretty quick. And there's some ways to, again, the things you probably shouldn't state all the way across the public, and I can't all of them, but again, talk to locals. If you're not getting worked with your outfitters, social media is a powerful outlet, guys. Get some knowledge out there, get some information out there, and really let the local farmer know, like, listen, I can't get on a hunt in this whole area, and I'm from here.
Yeah.
And I think if you band together and keep some, again, knowledge out in the community, I hope that local guys can get into it more. And people say it's super hard to find staff. Well, it's because you haven't trained another hunter how to do it. And because young kids don't do it. You know why they don't do it? Us. Freelancers and outfitters is why they don't
got no
hunt
foot
anymore.
in the door. They got no foot in the door.
No. And the hatred of outfitters is immense. Like, locals, because we are competing with you guys. And that's what I'm saying. Like, put it on the outfitter. Like, every local in the area, in my area, I hope they call me. I want to supply you with a hunt. We'll scout together. I'll give you a shoot. I'll teach you how to shoot. I'll put the decoys out. I'll come to your field and show you to put them out, how to hide, how to be successful. And as a local, I want people on the landscape. Mm-hmm. It doesn't help if I'm not from here and I'm a business. But as a local guy, I'm like, I want to see kids hunting birds.
Enjoy it.
And there's so many mistakes you can make where you get too close to the roost and you knock the roost off. Well, I can educate you, but hey, you can go there and shoot that. You're going to shoot 4 birds and blow the birds out of the area for the rest of the season. Yeah. And they don't know any better. Mm-hmm. And this is like the fishing thing where guys are holding fish by the eyes and you lose your mind. You know why he's doing
education.
That? Because no one taught him how to hold them under the gill plate.
Right.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
The same with keeping 25-pound fish. No one taught him that's a breeder. That's important. You got to look after that fish. That's a real big focal point in your area. You need to have that fish get through to make your whole area viable long term. And this is the same with bird hunting, where it's, you don't know how to hunt, someone should teach you how to hunt. Well, that should be the responsibility of community-minded outfitters, who I believe should be the only players in the industry, period.
Yeah, with just good communication between everyone that wants a piece
100%.
of the pie.
That's it. On the freelance side, it gets spicy again, because again, it's unregulated growth. I don't mind them. They're great. They come up. They support a little bit of local economy. But if we have no control how many guys come through areas, again, we're back on the same problem of 500 freelancers. It's the same as 15 big out. It's all the same number. Just too many guys out there looking for birds.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like that was a big driving factor. I always say waterfowl is at the bottom of my list, and a lot of that was because of the no's that I started getting. Because freelance outfitter or freelance, and then that amount of outfitters around, and a guy does just get tired of hearing, no, sorry, so and so has that field, so and so reserve that field, that's theirs. It's like they're the only ones allowed on it.
Book it for a week. Book it for a week. Book it for a week. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
And once you get on waterfowl hunting, the trigger time is the drive. Like the ability, like in big game hunting, it's a high stress, intensive sport tied to 1 minute, 1 second of success or failure. That's the goal. It's this big moment. In waterfowl hunting, it's the funnest social activity with a great resource of meat at the end. And you get to have piles of trigger time. We've been on snow goose hunts where guys have shot 10 boxes of shells in a morning. 250 rounds. Like, where else can you get that kind of fun? And you got to fool the bird, and there's so much fun involved on the tactics and skill of it. But if you don't have access to it, it's irrelevant.
for sure. And as someone like myself who likes to just do it all, it's kind of sounding more and more like something you can't just half-ass or whatever, right? Like you're gonna be putting in the time.
It's kind of like fly fishing a creek, I guess, where if you don't have the knowledge of where to start, what to use, what to do, you're just an idiot swinging a pole back and forth is all you are.
Ribbon
And that's
twirler.
Jesse.
That's exactly it, and that's Jesse. Yeah. The big that's where ducks, like I could break that down too in a different podcast. You guys ever want me back on where it's there's a walk, crawl, run to the waterfowl sector where there's birds that are easy, tactics that are easy, skills, times of year better. Like there's so much to it, but there's times where I could train the weekend warrior rapidly that I bet you he'll hit wicked success 95% of the time in minimal skill levels. Like it's to target the right thing at the right time. And the snow geese traditionally they're not the one you start on because it's the most punishing, the hardest to learn, the most gear. But if you learn how to scout and tie yourself into a honker duck shoot that's been there for a couple days, and you have any skills that can be taught over a podcast in 15 minutes in this province, I would bet you and 4 buddies can go and shoot 80 geese and ducks every single time. It just takes minimal skill. If you're in the right part of the province and have a very basic semblance of knowledge, away you go. It's like me learning. I learned walleye this year. I got bored and got live scope out and slip bobbers and drop shots. That was it. And I started learning how to use forward-facing sonar. Well, in the case of 15 days, my success went to something I could have dreamt when I was 15. I would never have thought I could boat that many big fish, that many fish ever in my life. And it took, again, just having the ability to talk to a guide or professional for a little minute amount of time and then realizing we are on the mecca of planet Earth for hunting and fishing. And the fact that you waterfowlers are having troubles, again, I think that's a crime. I don't think that's a positive in the industry. I think it's a real black eye that the weekend warrior should always have access to dirt and should put the burden back on the guys who are using it, which is us.
Yeah.
I think it should be back on the outfitter to look after you guys.
Give them that opportunity.
I think so, right? I think all of us if you're from here, you should definitely want people out in the landscape. You should want kids to be exposed to goose hunting. If you love it that much and you're truly passionate.
Yeah, because it's our backyard. Like, yeah, let's go out and shoot birds and catch fish and have fun.
I'm a kid that came from a single parent, and like for me to build a livelihood out of my passion, what? You can make a living hunting ducks. Who is ever that fortunate? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's super nice. And then for us to reward local where we can, sponsor anything we can, it's always mattered to me to pay it forward because I was born in Saskatchewan hunting culture. I understood what it meant and where it came from and how lucky I was. But what's changed in 15 years is there's just a literal cascade, a wave that there's just too many variables that are not in our favor when it comes to long-term success or sustainability. And there's groups or group of people that want to exploit it, maybe willingly or unwillingly or like knowingly or unknowingly. But in the end, it's irrelevant. Like if you harvest and get on the pressure, that it doesn't matter how it comes to the landscape. It just isn't there to be had.
For sure. Well, I think we're gonna have to book the whole next podcast so I can learn how to get some ducks and geese.
There's not much to it. We taught a young 16-year-old here. He was a guide quickly, but we had him beating the hell out of him pretty quick. It's not rocket appliances. It's nothing too smart. You just got to have the real basics figured out. And I didn't know the basics when I got into this. I really didn't. So
yeah. Well, and like you said, the basics. Talking about the walleye fishing, like there's so much out there that's meant to catch the fisherman instead of the fish. And when you really get to the basics, like when it comes down to it, when I'm out fishing a tournament, I'm most likely using a plain hook or just a jig and a leash, like something like that, right? Like I'm not
a piece of
it's not
the thing they eat. You put it in front of them and they eat it. Wow.
Yeah. Exactly.
You really thought this through. It's so
not
strategic.
all the other crazy stuff you see, right? So
like a
get
Cisco on a treble hook.
Yeah.
With 50-pound
I might
braid.
have seen this. I might have seen some things that maybe corresponded to that. Yeah, it's super cool. It really is. And I really like being on something like this to maybe put a little exposure out there, and you never know who hears it. Maybe someone that's like, wait a second, there's something here I should look at or ask questions about or talk to someone or reach out. Yeah. They're welcome to reach out to me or anybody else in the sector, and they should have answers where it's, what's your sustainability practice? What is the focus of it? And then
put a little pressure
start holding people accountable. The hell yeah,
right.
100%.
For sure. For sure. Well, before I ask the wrap-up question, Jesse, do you have anything else?
I was thinking, like, I don't know if Tyler will want to answer this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Sure.
If you had a magic wand and you could set the rules exactly how you wanted it, you could regulate bird hunting in Saskatchewan, like what would you be, how would you set it? What would you do? If you could do it overnight, if you could change things overnight, what do you think needs to be in place to secure a future for bird hunting for, us and the future generation of Saskatchewan, but also give some to the outfitters, give some to the industry? Like, is there a easy fix? What would you do?
I wish there was an easy fix. Like, being involved in like committees and stuff that are really trying to focus hard on getting this right. It's the magic wand's the hardest part. I don't know. We're kind of past where it needs to be. I want to have a magic ball, Jesse, and hit the 16-year-old rewind button. And then from there, I would start to apply what's going on now, where it's like cap the freelance hunting, and then put a number. What's the top watermark? Maybe it's 5,000 people. Sure, there's the top. Because you figure out how many hunts the landscape can sustain ish. Again, what a weird variable because water and everything else. But you got to get. You could apply it if you had some basic thought. You could probably get to a number, and from there, break it into how many outfitters are on the landscape. Break it in so again the average guy can get out into an area. And I'd make it so, again, that freelancers are quarantined into areas, not province-wide. It's just a free-for-all.
Right.
And you'd make freelancers quarantine into something that's sustainable for the landscape where there's extra hunts laying around. Like, when we started this business 17 years ago, you could let a hunt sit for 3, 4, 5 days. See a hunt on Monday, shoot it on Friday. And if someone found it before you, the very few times a weekend warrior came out, you couldn't care less. We had 15, 16, 18, 20 hunts figured out by Friday. The weekend guys would come out and pick off 3 or 4 of them on us. We got 11 hunts left. In my last 7 years, when the pressure has gone nuts, you see a shoot on a Friday, you shoot it Saturday morning, or you shoot it Sunday morning, and you tie up anything you can get near because you have to, or you will not have a hunt the next morning. So you need a crystal ball and a rewind clock to start, and from there it's, things that should have been thought about, I don't know, when the whole sector was built. Common sense sustainability practices that have been in every other industry on planet Earth, except for ours. I'd probably start there. Again, just have an idea of what the variables are and start to like mitigate the risk to a local person and everybody else so that generations after us can have the same thing we were lucky enough to see.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, that was better than my wrap-up question, but I'm still going to ask it.
Sure.
What do you got, Logan?
Because it's now 8 p.m. It's gotten darker for Tyler there from when we
Yeah,
started.
there's a light on here. I feel like a little man in a cave right now. It's great.
It's okay. We'll be wrapping up here soon. I'm thinking about supper. It's 8 p.m. We've talked about all this. What's your go-to snow goose recipe?
So the whites, as a rule, they get a really bad rap. So the nickname for them is sky carp in the States. That's what they get called. And it's like a common misnomer. And the reason I think they get a lot of bad rap, a couple of things. One is they get on sage grass in certain areas and they taste pretty strong. And then they're the smart birds that don't decoy well and you can't kill them. So choice B is you call them crap. So you don't have to chase your time waste and try to kill the stupid thing. So they're just garbage. You can't eat them anyways. I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's because you can't beat them. But we serve a couple of, our chef here birds are pretty simple. You got to cook them medium rare. That's the first thing. If it ain't bleeding and raw in the middle, it's a red meat. And like we serve a crane tartare, and that's raw bird. It's amazing. And for like a basic rub on a snow goose, eat juvenile birds. Don't eat the old dinos in the group. But if you get some young birds, it's like eating a marshmallow. They cook nice. You have nice rub. Barbecue them like a basic steak. Do not cook the hell out of them. Medium rare.
Yeah.
Again, you'll never be disappointed in that bird. You can soak it. You soak it in ice water, a little bit of salt to get the blood out of it at night. If they're shot up, make sure you check all your wound channels for pellets. And then, again, treat it like a steak. Cook it quick. Cook it hot. Don't cook it lots. Eat it. You cannot be disappointed. You can make them into cubes. You can cube them and then just a light, any kind of rub, any kind of rib rubs or chicken rubs. Fry them quick in a pan with a little bit of garlic butter. Makes appies. Amazing. Super good. And then you go from there, you can get a million cool recipes. It's the Canada geese that are a little harder to eat. Their meat's a little more dense, and that's the bird that needs to see the grinder pretty quick and turn into sausage or jerky, I think, as a rule. The snow geese, Speckled belly geese get told are white-fronted geese or specks. They get called the filet mignon of what we eat for waterfowl, and they live in the same place. They eat the same thing as a snow goose, identical. They live in the same water.
There you go.
They're the same size. And guess what? If you cut the two of them apart when they get on the prairies and eat a proper diet, good luck telling them apart. I can tell you, we get some amazing snow goose meals here in the spring, and the bird gets a bad rap from certain flyaways, but as a rule, it's a fine piece of meat, and I think it's something that gets heavily overlooked.
For sure. Yeah, I can attest to the cooking to the correct temperature. The first time I did duck, I was and we didn't really. It's not something grew up eating. So my parents were like, oh, you should make sure you cook it. So I cooked it to chicken temperatures, and I was like, I hate duck, and duck's one of my favorite things to eat now. Like that was such a mistake, doing that. Yeah, that medium rare is too good. So I'd agree with that one. And nice to know it's a simple recipe too.
Absolutely.
Don't overthink it. No, do not overthink it.
Yeah, no, that's good. I did want to ask you one thing, just with the touching on the crane, because that's actually my favorite meat, I think, right now. I don't get it very often. Why do you think, like, I kind of heard the same thing. Some people always say the ribeye of the sky. Other people say, like one old guy told me, boil it with a rock, throw it out, eat the rock or something like that. Yeah, boot. Yeah.
All the time.
So what, like, is that just older boys not knowing how to cook and they ruin it? Or, like, what's the deal there?
It's the best piece of meat you can harvest with wings on it. Like, it's the only piece of meat our guides will take home after the season.
Wow.
Okay.
They will make sure to keep every bird that comes out of the sky.
A diet of the crane,
I
right? Makes it taste different.
That's an omnivore, right? So they eat frogs and crickets. And we've had like a craziest story. If you want to tie to something fancy about the stupid waterfowl and bird behavior. 4 years ago, our drought was in our area really bad. And we started scouting crane fields in the area, a little off topic, but the birds wouldn't sit together. You get to a field, it'd be like 800 birds across 600 acres. It doesn't make any sense. And for days, we hunted them for a year, almost a year and a half, and we could never shoot limits of cranes. They'd come to the field, they'd land 80 yards for the decoys, 500 yards for the decoys, 400 yards for the decoys, and they wouldn't land with live birds. And about a year later or half a year later, we started figuring things out. We finally killed a few. We cut them open, full of crickets, tens of thousands of crickets. If you think about that food source over a grain, crickets don't sit together.
Yeah.
So
you wouldn't want to be beside.
Knew enough. You wouldn't want to be beside your buddy eating crickets.
That's
beside
right.
him with eating grain because the grain's all in a row.
Yeah.
But on crickets, we got to spread out. Fields, lots of crickets, but we can't sit together. And it took us the better part of a year and a half to figure out why the bird behavior had changed and what we were doing wrong. We'd had them figured out for years, and then one day they just changed. And we went in there and we started killing birds again. And we started figuring out that watch the bird in the field and realize that little piece has changed. And that's it.
That's cool.
So if you could explain the texture of a crane breast. I can never explain that to someone.
It is. It's dense. Okay. It's a hard, dense red meat. It's a sirloin is what it is. Okay. And if you cook it medium rare, it has zero wild gameness. Like a goose has a bit of a taste. A duck has a strong taste. Crane tastes like a piece of red meat. And it's an amazing, it's one of the most overlooked birds. It's starting to see a lot of pressure, and they are the birds in my lifetime since we've hunted them very aggressively in our flyaway. We have a few for sure. That bird's education has gone up way past the snow goose now. He's 10 times smart. Like he is the smartest of the smartest of the smartest birds.
Interesting.
Super
there you
cool.
go. Tyler said it. Nothing like a cricket finished ribeye of the sky for the plate. No, that's awesome. We've had you for basically 2 hours here.
Yeah.
Like you said, we caught you at a good time here before the season gets really going for you, right? So, I guess maybe to any final things to wrap things up here, plug away.
I'm going to turn a light on so I don't think I'm hiding in a cave anymore. Give me 1 sec, for God's sake.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
There. That's much better. But no, as a wrap, just thanks for having me on, guys. And hope to bring some awareness to a sector that's in a little bit of peril, a little bit of trouble, and a lot of pressure in the area. And I also think that a lot of guys should get out and try snow goose hunting. It's a blast. And once you finally get that big spin, that big tornado the first time, you decoy in 5, 10, 15,000 birds to the 5-yard line. It's as exciting as a bull bugling for those big screaming bulls.
Yeah.
It's excited as a big mule deer standing up in the brush. We put in a couple hunts last year for some locals that we had on Easter, and we put between 10 and 20,000 birds in their lap, probably 15 times. And it's a memory you'll never change. You'll never forget. It's my best memories in my life are sitting in a goose pit. The stories, the camaraderie, the guys, your buddies, the excitement of the birds, the challenge of learning it. It's all there to be had. It's just get in the field, enjoy the experience, pick people's brains that are way smarter than you. I still do that. And then be okay with being humbled. And when you finally get under them, become the best weekend warrior you can be and just soak it in. Just sit there in the morning where it's like, this is it. Like the variables are in my favor and I can go to work on these things. And we didn't touch on a couple other things too I'd love to bring up, but maybe there's next time too. A little bit more hunting tactics stuff.
There'll be a
we can
part
bring
3,
in,
part 4, part 5.
You never know.
For sure.
Be great, guys. But yeah, thanks again for your time. And I hope this gets out to the right people. Hope they enjoy some knowledge. And if they have questions, just don't be scared to reach out.
Yeah, and as far as if people want to book hunts with you, which I think they probably will want to after this, where can they find you for all that?
Yeah, so PrairieSkyOutfitters.com. You'll see the website there and our facility and stuff like that. And it's been a fun journey. We enjoy it and try the best we can to accommodate people's needs and focus on the experience. We're experience-driven camp here, and our biggest thing is just trying to get you guys to feel like family and friends and eat a high-end meal and come home with a laugh and hopefully some stories and some incredible memories in the memory bank that you don't forget anytime soon.
For sure. Yeah, we'll put the link down in the description here, but I know this turned into way more than I thought. It was awesome to learn all this. I was leaving work today thinking, I'm going to learn more about shooting some snow geese. Like this was 10 times better than that. So really appreciate you taking the time coming on here,
Tyler.
Jesse. Thanks for lining this one up. And yeah, definitely won't be the last one. So we'll look forward to getting you in here again, maybe at the end of the season once you've had some good sleeps, and we'll do it all again.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
There you have it. Tons of interesting, eye-opening information. There's obviously going to be people on both sides of the ball here that are listening to this, with some of our American listeners and Canadian listeners and whatnot. I think that was just some good, unbiased information. I think even though obviously he's a guide here or outfitter
Right.
up here, but like it's just as far as the numbers,
he laid
and the
it
facts
all out
of it
there.
all.
Yeah, like it's not like he was holding any cards. He was saying both sides of the story essentially, and obviously concerned about the future.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's a pretty good guy to have dealing with some of that stuff too. Pretty level-headed and has a pretty good view of the whole situation, I'd say.
Very.
So that was definitely really cool of him to sit down with us, share some of that information and kind of open our eyes to that. I don't know, did you have any favorite part out of these two parts here?
Oh man. So like from part 1, actually, I was listening to it here just the other day, and how he had mentioned when the birds aren't in the middle of the field, they don't want to be there because they ate all the food already in the middle, so they don't necessarily feel safe there. That I had never thought of before, and that makes total sense. And it's like, and then if you have a tree line around you, well, you don't want to set up there. The birds aren't going to land there. But anyway, that was just one little aspect that I don't think I ever would have put that together in my brain, that the reason they don't want to land there is because there's no food. And then in part 2 here, just like how he'd mentioned, the resource is the land, not the bird. And if we don't look after the land or put some, legal actions in place or whatever we have to do to protect our land and our water, we're not going to have the great hunting that we do in this province for much longer.
Well, you could have all the animals you want it doesn't matter if it's just birds, if it's any animal that you're looking to pursue. If you don't have the permission here with the way the rules are, you're hooped, right? So you could have the best ever deer, the best ever moose, elk, birds, whatever. Don't matter if you can't get access to it.
If you got no access, you can't get them.
Yeah, no, for sure.
No, it was a ton of fun. I really like sitting down with Tyler, and it was nice having a recorded conversation with him. I think I've had multiple hour-long phone calls in the last few months with him, so it was nice to have something on the record with him, because he's really good at explaining it. He knows everything. He knows not everything, but he knows the facts.
Yeah, you need to have it recorded so you can go back and listen to it, actually soak in all the information, because there is so much. And like I said in part 1 there, and probably in part 2, my brain was just melting. I was like, all this stuff. I'm like the birds on the edge of the field. Like it makes so much sense, but you just don't even think about it. But that's what I really like about doing the podcast, is trying to understand the why. Right. Is a big thing, and it's so easy to go out there and just you've got the basics the basic idea of what's going on. The birds come out to the out to the field to feed, and then they go back to their roost kind of thing. We want to set up where they are in the field, but then when you peel it back like an onion, layer by layer of the why are they doing this? Why are they going there? Like when you can understand it that way, you kind of set up for success a lot more of the time. So that was definitely pretty sweet there. But that's kind of all we got here. Jesse wanted to mention something about some fish since we're going to be getting into the open water season here.
That's right. Yeah, open water May 5th, a season opener will be coming in 4 days from this podcast. So just like to remind everybody that, you know, these fish are just finishing spawning. Even with the late ice conditions, some of them are probably still going to be spawning. So just keep that in mind. Get those fish in. If you are out catching them, get them in as quick as you can. Like, put as much pressure onto them as you can. Don't fight them for 5-10 minutes, especially a pike or a big walleye. Get them in, get that hook out, grab your picture or whatever, and just get them back in the water as quick as you can, because these fish are in the worst shape they will be in all year. Like, they're going to be beat up, tired, and just need some food or some. You know, a lot of them probably aren't biting your hook out of food.
Just need some rest
for protection. Or, you know, to defend their spawning areas. So just keep that in mind. And if you see some spawning fish still, maybe consider moving and not beating them up while they're still trying to make some babies. So, but still get out there, have fun. I'm not going to tell you not to fish, obviously, but be mindful, respect them.
Yeah, my biggest thing, using the correct gear, depending on what you're going out and targeting, especially like Jesse said with the big pike. There's no reason to be fighting on ultralight gear this time of year, especially.
For sure.
Just because that may be what you had at the time or whatever. It's something, obviously you can't help a bycatch, but just definitely something to consider about. Don't want to be tiring these fish out because they have been going hard in the paint for who knows how long. And like Jesse said, depending when this ice comes off, who knows when their spawn will actually be happening, right? That off season is just an estimate, I guess, with that, right? So
I think we're going to see some spawning fish, especially at the northern limit of the southern zone, like Green Lake, Turtle Lake, Shell Lake. I guarantee those fish are still going to be actively spawning come May 5th.
Yeah, for sure. If you can even get on the water at that point.
Yeah,
will be another thing. But yeah, that's kind of all we got here. Wrapping up. Jesse's going to be going on his trip, so hopefully you have a good time with that. Just like to mention at the end of every episode, thank you very much for listening. If you're looking for any new gear, head over to Rapala Canada. Use the code Weekend Warriors. Save yourself 15% on the whole website at checkout. Good time of year to check out some rain gear, stuff like that too. But that's all we got for episode 116 here. We hope you enjoyed, and we hope to see you in episode 117.